Hi everyone, welcome back to Kspot. It's been a while, hasn't it? I'm your host, Francis Kavuma, and I'm excited to be back with a fresh episode. Yes, a lot has happened since we last connected in April 2021. Really, that's a long time. But fear not, we're picking up right where we left off. Whether you're a long-time listener or new to the show, get ready to dive into the world of Greek culture, travel tips, and inspiring conversations. You know, that's the reason why I started this podcast, to really keep you posted and updated about what's happening around here. Being a traveler myself and living in this beautiful country for the past 9 years, it haunts me with a great, experience and knowledge, and to share some of that with my fellow travelers and foreigners basically living in Greece, and those ones planning to visit. Generally, I like the travel industry because that's where I'm always focused on. That's where my exes are. But we talk generally about a lot of things. In this episode, we'll be discussing the Orchid celebrations that are happening tomorrow. If you haven't realized, today is the 27th of October. Tomorrow is the 28th. It's a public holiday, it's a national holiday, so it's a big day. Daylight saving, the loss of my beautiful mom, and so much more. So sit back, relax, and let's explore Greece together. Yeah, as I mentioned, before I dive into one of the most important things I really want to talk about that happened to me was I experienced a significant loss with the passing of my mother, Mrs. Justin Namudu. May the good Lord rest her soul. And this happened 2022, around there, at the beginning of the year. So her absence has deeply impacted my life. If you've lost a parent before, you can relate. So it reminded me of the fragility of existence and, the importance of cherishing every moment. It's a permanent reminder to live life to the fullest and appreciate the love and support our loved ones. If you have people around you, you have to realize that, those little times and the brief moments, the celebrations, the birthdays, the Christmases, those beautiful times you spend with them, you have to make them count, because tomorrow is not promised at all. Out of nowhere, you cannot understand how your story can be closed and your light is going to be put out in a minute. So that happened, and it's a very, very tough thing to happen to you, to anybody. And it's a huge task to carry yourself through that and to work yourself back to normalcy, if you say your normal life, to keep pushing through. That's why during times like this, it's very, very important to have people around you that really, really care about you. So the circle of friends and family that you have, they play a huge role. But friends mostly, the people who are very close to you. For my case, it was kind of I was lucky. I had a partner who was really very supportive for me, especially within this period of time, and my friends. It was very hard for me to disclose this, to come to terms to even talk about it. That's why it's very, very few people knew about this and all know about this. So it took a lot of work, and I wouldn't say healing, because that never happened when it comes to losing a parent. That's a wound that always stays. So I wouldn't say healing, but you just learn to come to terms with it and really live with that kind of gap, that is created. And you embrace growth and the challenges that come afterwards. But yeah, that's one of the major events I would say that really, really happened to me during this period. But as you say, as they say, life goes on, and I'm really, really very grateful to be back. To talk to you, to share with you, to do what I really love, which is to talk. I love to talk. I love talking. I love sharing. I like doing this thing. So hopefully from this return, we'll be keep writing. I'll be giving you all that, as I promised you, the sharing and all the tips that I had to. The whole purpose, the whole mission for this whole podcast. So, with that one out of the way, I think it's safe to say we can talk about something that is on everybody's mind. The daylight saving ending today. Today is the 27th of October, which is, and it's a Sunday. Which is the last Sunday of the month. So we have the daylight saving, which happens every last Sunday of October, and it starts on the last Sunday of March. That's when it starts, and it ends on the last Sunday of October. These whole situations like a magic trick gone wrong. You wake up thinking you're late for work, only to realize that you are now early. It's very interesting. It's just like this time it happened over the weekend. It was on a Friday. That was like the 26th. It was it's on a Saturday. So because it transitions into midnight, so it happens on a weekend basically. And another plus to that is in Greece, basically the following day, more oftentimes it's a national holiday, which is the 28th of October. So being that we had this, we had a Saturday, which is a weekend, and Sunday, and which is the 27th, the time changes, of course, and then you have this one spilling into the 28th, which is the national holiday, which actually we're going to be talking about in a few minutes here. So it's a very good advantage. I don't know. I really want to hear about the stories of when the time changed. What was the most dramatic event that happened to you as a result of the clock changing. Wherever your time zone you're listening from, wherever you are. But in Greece, it happens quite a lot. You wake up and you're rushing, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm late. And then you realize, oh my God, and then the time is like 1 hour earlier. So, in comparison to, for example, where I'm from in Uganda, we have a standard time. We don't have the daylight saving. It's just one standard clock. So right now, Uganda is like 1 hour ahead of Athens in Greece. So a little bit of a difference, different time zone, and so Greece is on the Eastern European time, which is actually 2 hours right now ahead on the TC kind of time, or the coordinated time, universal time, which is the standard for all the time the clocks of the globe, or whatever they base on to set time and all these things. So we're like during the daytime saving, which starts from the period from that, it's like plus 3 hours on the UTC, and now we just like plus 2. We just take 1 hour off behind, and then during the summer time, let's say we call it the Eastern European summertime, which adds an hour. So during these periods, in the mornings you have more light, like more daylight, and in the evenings the days get a bit shorter. At least now, that is from now until March, and end of March the days become longer in the evenings. You have more daylight at the end of the day and dark in the morning. So that's kind of a subtle differences between these time zones and what happens. But it's really interesting. This annual time change can be a bit of a hassle, but it's interesting to consider history and the impact of this practice. You know what I mean? For example, did you know that Greece first adopted daylight saving time in 1932? It's a really curious fact that often goes unnoticed. It's interesting. It brings me to one thing to realize that there was a time when this whole daylight thing was not taking place in Greece, for example. There wasn't like, no one cared about that whole stuff. You know what I mean? So that makes it like literally 55 years between 1932 and 2024 in between. That's a lot of time since this whole aspect of daylight saving time was adopted in Greece. So that's an interesting fact that I thought that you should know. And recently, to my listeners in the US, there was a bill intended to switch to permanently to the daylight saving. I don't know. I don't know what happened to that. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think it's a good idea to switch permanently to daylight saving? And you tell me what's the state of this, bill. What happened? Did they push it through? I need to look into it, that one, and see what's happening with that whole situation. The US is like, their kind of lifestyle is different. But anyway, you can share your opinions in the comments, or you can email me at Francis Case, Kais at yahoo.com, Francis Case at yahoo.com. So that you can tell me what's going on, and what do you think? Is it a good idea to make it permanently daylight saving? Is it something that you think works for you? I don't know. For me, I'm already good. I'm good for the adventure. But yeah, that's one of the things which you experience, in different parts of the world. Everyone, they have their own way of doing things. But yeah, that's what's going on apparently with the daylight saving. So you make sure if you're wearing the classic analog watches that do not, adjust automatically like the way I love to wear my watches. So you make sure you update them, move them to be at par with the digital, clocks and phones that you have going on. Yeah, it's one of those things that you might, ignore or forget to do, and then you get confused in your day-to-day running of, things. Speaking of day-to-day, I told you how important tomorrow is in Greece. So, if you're in Athens or in Greece, in any parts of Greece, and you're a guest or a tourist, and you've seen some preparations taking place, different squares, and if you're in the center of Athens, for example, you see the Parliament, the Syntagma Square, they're doing some decorations and seeing all that going on. You're kind of wondering what's going on. So I already told you what's really happening. It's a very, very important day that is going to be celebrated. It's called the Ohi Day. Ohi, which is basically literally translates to no. This national holiday commemorating. What am I talking about? This national holiday is just a big day for the Greek people. They celebrate. It commemorates, the Greek people's courageous resistance against the Italian Mussolini. I think that was the name of the guy. Going back to the history of the day, it's a very important. So we're gonna I'll tell you a little bit about this whole thing. This day, the 28th of October, all the Greeks and the Cyprus, they celebrate. I think the year was 1940 when the Greek Prime Minister at the time, his name I think was Ioannis Metaxas, he denied Mussolini the request to allow the Italian troops to go through the border into Greece. So, and this didn't sit well with the Italians by the time, and this kind of led to the Greco-Italian War. But the Greek Prime Minister took a stand and said no to the whole situation, said no for this army to go through the Greek borders. And this really, really riled up most of the Greeks on the mainland and different parts of the country, in the capital, and people were chanting and going about kind of backing their leader, chanting Ohi, which I already told you, it means no. Which is interesting to see. People have been rioting and rebelling since day one. So these things, when you see them happening today, it's not something that's happened just of this generation, but it's always been the way how people kind of, put up a fight to their oppressors and people want to bully them. And Greeks were really very good at taking a stand, and still they are in different situations anyway. So this decision made really October the 28th a very, very important day, in Greece. So each year it is commemorated, it's celebrated, it's a national holiday. People are really celebrating the bravery, the solidarity, and the heroism of of the Greeks of all the time, and to this day, all the Greeks around the world still do the same thing. This time was really, I think, the period when the Second World War was boiling up to start. There's times, and since the First World War, Greece as a country had really managed to stay on the lines of the war. It was like basically neutral power, neutral state. But after this fight that she decided to say no to the Italians. It kind of like automatically assumed the side, because if you remember, the World War was basically between, there were different sides. It was like a bunch of countries choosing to be, if you're not a communist, there's also there were like communist countries, favoring the communist policies and all the stuff, and then you had the anti-communist countries. For example, they used to call them the Axis powers. And these ones were like mainly the big players in that group. Also, Italy was part of it. So that means if you denied Italy a way to go through, you've just denied his counterparts like Germany and Japan and some other little countries that signed. Because the Axis powers was just also a group of countries that were basically against the communist policies that didn't go well. They didn't like what was being done. The likes of for example, the Adolf Hitler. I mean, the guy was there. You have the Japanese Emperor Hirohito was also part of that. So they formed that new alliance that was nicknamed like the Rome, Berlin, Tokyo Axis. That's what they can. That's why they call them the Axis powers. So if you're against one of the Axis powers, basically you're just against the whole three group, the main ones, which was Italy, Japan, and Germany. So because they had signed an act amongst them, which was called the Tripartite Act, pledging mutual military and economic support for one another. So, though later this group was joined by other small countries like Romania and Hungary and Bulgaria. So these ones, but the main ones were the big players. So Greece saying no to Italy, it already assumed a side of on the other side of the communist side. So that's why like the English, from this point was one of those moments where Greece gained the favor from the English side, because they really fought hard and strongly against them. Like they held off this Axis army or military attacks for almost 6 months. And that's why there's a famous quote that was said by Winston Churchill, that the British guy, the British Prime Minister, we say like, hence we will not say. I don't know how it was sounded. I'm just going to have to try to impassion how it sounded. Hence we will not say that the Greeks fight like heroes, but the heroes fight like Greeks. I think that's how he sounded. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just assuming. He was a very, very mean-looking guy as well, but they were fighters. For example, they used to call themselves the Alliance. So it was like the Allies and the Axis group. So in the Allies side, you had like Winston Churchill, you had the American guy, the Franklin, the Roosevelt, Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union. You had Harry Truman, of course, American, and Charles de Gaulle of France. So these one, like, they were like on the same side. Those are like some of the big players. And as I mentioned earlier, for the Axis powers, you already had like Japan and Germany and Italy. Dude, you had Hitler for Germany and Emperor Hirohito for Japan, and you had Benito Mussolini for Italy. So that was like World War II was really, really very destructive. Everyone got a test of everything, test of this misery that took place in 1940 onwards until I think 44 to 45, around there. That's where the war was kind of ended in around 1945. So this whole thing is really very interesting, and these days, it's one of those days when you have to highlight on a calendar anywhere if you're Greek. And if you're in any country and you see Greek communities, of course you're going to see them tomorrow. That's what everyone is celebrating. But that's the brief history. I really wanted to give that brief rundown about this day, because it's really very important in the country, and it's tomorrow. So that's why this episode is basically about the 28th, the Ohi. And for you trying to make your vocabulary a bit wealthy, so that's one of the phrases you can start with. Ohi, which means no. You might see it spelled as O-X and I. It looks like an I, so it's the one which says Ohi, which says no one is going through. That's the whole thing. So tomorrow, if you're in Athens, if you're a traveler, if you're looking for things to do, and if you're in the center and enjoy watching parades, enjoying seeing the spectacle, and see so that you're going to see these marching bands, clubs, society, school children, all the schools come together, prepare the kids to be ready to represent, the marching, holding flags. They always used, most of these, parades happen on the main avenue in the center. That is the Vasilissis Amalias Avenue. It's right in front of the Greek Parliament. If you've ever been to Athens, the Syntagma Square is on your right, and the Parliament is right there. So the main street is the Foros Vasilissis Amalias. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And so they will be marching, people going from there, people will be displaying a lot of things. But I think those two main streets might be closed off because of that, like that one and Panepistimiou, which is actually like literally a continuation of that one, that street. So, especially I think in the morning hours, starting around 10ish there. So if you're in the center around the time, if you want to go, it's really fun to watch. It's a really nice thing to watch, especially if you haven't been to Athens or you're in Athens for the first time. You can go there, you can see, different kind of military uniforms, and the famous, the Eve zones, those guys, the parliamentary, soldiers, they're all marching. Those are my favorite. I love seeing them doing their thing. So yeah, it's one of the things you can focus on, and try to go there and check it out and spend some morning hours, take some pictures. That's one of the free things you can also take back as a memory as you visit Athens. And if I understand correctly, but this one you have to do a more deeper check, but I'm pretty sure you can also have some I was reading about somewhere that there might be some free passes to like the Acropolis Museum. You can visit that place. Amazing museum. You can go in there and also see what they have to. You can go there for free, things to give back to the people. And some a couple of sites that they really allow you to go in on tomorrow. you can also choose to visit those ones. So yeah, that is one for you. It's the 28th of October. What else are we going to talk about today? Oh yes, everyone is preparing for the Halloween. Of course, it's Halloween weekend. I mean, the best time, because now you realize normally if I'm not right, I rarely celebrate this stuff. I don't do Halloween as well as stuff. But if since the Halloween, I think is within the middle of the week, which is on 31st. Yeah, I think it's on the 31st. So that makes this weekend the perfect weekend to celebrate Halloween, in Greece. This is a very big, this day though isn't a traditional Greek holiday, as we all know. It's mainly an American holiday, heavily celebrated in the States, where people putting on these scary costumes. I never got the concept of that one really, and I need really to understand why and the origin of the Halloween, wearing masks and pumpkins and all that stuff. What's the deal with that? Thanks to the film industry and the movies that people watch, this has spread around the whole world, and now you find different countries doing their own versions of Halloween, but it's not as big as you see it in the States. I'm pretty sure you guys in the States do it really massive. But in Athens here, for example, if you want to have some, for example, today, which is on a Sunday, you have a few trick-or-treat parties for the kids. You have some, if you go out some of the nightclubs, they're having Halloween parties going on. It's massive, especially if you're in the center, in areas which are frequented by the tourists around Monastiraki, the clubs around there. You go to the Gaza area, and it's quite a lot of options if you choose to be in these areas. If you're looking for things to do at night, and you want to feel the vibe and the way how you don't want to miss it. For example, if you're an American tourist coming into Greece and you want to enjoy the Halloween parties that you always carry on or enjoy back home, and you want to catch that event or that live, those are the places to be around Monastiraki area. It's right in the center. You can put in Google Maps. It's quite easy to find. So that's one of the things you can easily find that one. You don't have to worry about that. It's quite easy. And other places, basically you find this in the center of Athens, and basically for the younger generations they put more effort. But as you know, for Greece we have different local festivities that are really given a big hype, and we have another version of that, which would be like Halloween. It's a costume party. It's a costume day. I forgot the name. But it's like the equivalent of that. People wear paint colors and you dress up in different costumes, and it's massive. It's massive anyway. So yeah, that's about the Halloween. I think there will be since it's a comeback. This is my first comeback episode. I don't want to make it so long. I've addressed what I really wanted to talk about, and we're going to be talking about the rest of other episodes. We're going to be talking about other things. I'm going to be dropping another one. In the States, you guys are up there getting ready for your election month. I think November. That's when you're doing your thing. If I understand correctly, you've already started voting. I've seen some mails. It's a heated, kind of election month or campaign period that you've had going on. I've had I think we'll just make an episode about that one. Really, it's fascinating. You can't just wrap it up in this one anyway. But I think that's it for this episode. I hope you really enjoyed this return to Kspot and my comeback, of course, Thank you for your continued support and for listening. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and importantly, cherish your loved ones. I'm out.